Hello, today we are going to install inside of a Fedora 38 operating system kdesrc-build, which is the build framework from the KDE community. This framework knows how to build the various KDE Git repositories. We're going to do this both for Qt5 and Qt6. So how do we get at the instructions? So kde.org, the official website of the KDE community, get involved, develop, and then there's a pair of pages. One says set up a development environment. This tells you how to install kdesrc-build, and then build software with kdesrc-build. First, we're going to need to set up and install this build framework, kdesrc-build. These are the instructions that we're going to follow. I have a GitHub page. Where I have additional instructions on how to set up side-by-side two kdesrc-build installations, one for Qt5 and the other for Qt6. So says step 1, we need an operating system, Linux operating system that's better supported by kdesrc-build. This means new versions of the 4 Linux operating system families: Arch, Fedora, Debian, and OpenSUSE, specifically OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. Okay, so we have that. We're on Fedora. Not just any other Fedora. There's a ton of Fedora install options, and we're going to need specifically Fedora KDE Spin, so the KDE desktop operating system from Fedora, which we've just installed in a virtual machine. The virtual machine has 250 gigabytes SSD, 10 gigabytes of RAM, 14 vCPUs, virtual CPUs. So we're within the hardware requirements. I have sudo working. Then I'm going to need to run this command. This is an old issue in console where it starts with a minimized size. I do not want to see the buttons of the toolbar, of the main toolbar. So I go settings in main menu in console, then toolbars shown, and I uncheck everything. Okay. Then I paste the command line. Says Git is already installed, nothing to do. Great. So we finished with step 2. Next up is step 3. Let's run a bunch of these commands. Great. Now this thing. This will create a directory named ~kde5/src, and in there it will git clone the repository kdesrc-build. So now we're inside of the directory ~kde5/src/kdesrc-build, where we git cloned this git repository. We're going to run initial setup. Okay, says it cannot locate some packages. These are Perl packages. Okay, what are those? Says Perl IPC-CMD and Perl MD5. So let me install this one first. Where was the command? Ctrl-Shift-V. Yes. Okay, back to the command line that failed. Okay, and fails because there's missing digest SHA. Okay, probably this one. Ctrl-Shift-V. And now it fails in the same way because it says something about SHA. Let's find the package. What's the name of the thing? Perl. And then grep for SHA. Maybe Perl was not installed. This thing. So Perl minus something with SHA. No such thing. Let's see if Perl is the thing. So indeed Perl was missing. So at least these two were missing. Okay. So once I've installed Perl and Perl IPC-CMD, there's no need for CMake, Perl MD5 or Perl FindBean. Okay, so it's installing a ton of packages. All of these are needed in order to build KDE Git repositories that use Qt5. We can see it's pulling Qt5 and its various RPM packages, including Qt Web Engine and other dependencies that are neither KDE nor Qt, such as, I don't know, Samba, systemd things, sound libraries, crypto libraries, GUI, hardware acceleration libraries, etc. Xorg libraries, Vulkan libraries. Okay. So it's downloaded those RPM packages and now it's installing them. Okay. Once it's finished, back to the procedure where it says that I should press enter. So select the default value and ask to update your bash rc, which is the default value is n, uppercase N, which means no. We will not have the path environment variable edited. We will not have any shell configuration file edited, because we will have two installations, one for kdesrc-build for Qt5 and another kdesrc-build for Qt6. Okay, this thing. Okay, and then I need to do these two replacements. I'm already in this directory. So I'm going to use kdesrc-build rc. So let's see what it says. I should replace the full path with nothing. So the full path is this thing. Control R, nothing, replace all. Control S, did that. And then B, I should replace all of these with this. Replace all. Okay, this would be it. I'll increase the num cores, otherwise build times will be really slow, so let's make those 12. When I'm using a debugger and an integrated development environment, I'm going to change the CMake build type default from rel with debinfo to debug. I might keep it rel with debinfo this time. And that's about it. I keep the rest defaults. Okay, next step. I should, so we're inside of a KDE of a Git repository. I'll need to install Git GUI. So how do we do that? So there's two packages, Git GUI and Git K. Do I want to install it? Yes. So Git K is the default graphical user interface application from the Git project for Git history, and Git GUI is the graphical user interface default application from the Git project for committing, for doing Git commits. Okay, both are installed. So your Git GUI, we're inside of a Git repository. In this directory, we can look at the history. We can see that the current Git work directory is dirty. There's an unstaged change, which is this file that we've just copied from, we've moved from the default directory, which is tilde/.config/kdesrc-build, where this command line has put it. So we've moved it from tilde/.config to the current directory, which is tilde/kd5/src/kdesrc-build. And for that, we're going to want to exclude from Git this file. So we say Git, please know nothing about this file. If we go rescan now, the file is no longer unstaged, staged, or committed. Okay, next up, we're going to the home directory. We run these commands, which will duplicate our installation. So we have an installation in tilde/kd5, and then we'll have an identical one in tilde/kd6. Okay, Our current directory is the correct one, which is tilde/kd6/src/kdesrc-build. And then we just need a final edit. Okay, let's look at the configuration file. So it has all of the 5s replaced with 6. So here, 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 and here, and here. So it looks okay. Next up, I should start building. So I'll have a new tab inside of console, Ctrl-Shift-T, and then let's build keyconfig. So sysadmin repo metadata was downloaded correctly. This tells us the dependencies between KDE Git repositories. The next one to be downloaded is the KDE Git repository extra CMake modules ECM. This was built and installed correctly. The next one is keyconfig, which is actually KDE framework. So this is for Qt5, so KDE framework 5 keyconfig. Git cloned correctly inside of tilde/kd5/src/kconfig directory, build correctly inside of tilde/kd5/build/kconfig directory, and then installed correctly inside of the directory tilde/kd5/usr/lib directory. Let's look at all of these directories. Let's install the Orthodox file manager, Crusader, yes. Let's unpin things from the KDE Plasma task manager. Let's start Crusader. It has a first run wizard. Next. Next. Panel layout, compact, apply. View small size possible for icons. Okay. Tabs on top. Nothing in here. Viewer editor in here will use Kate instead of the internal editor. USR bin Kate. Apply. And the rest of the things stay the same. Close. Let's pin this thing to the task manager and hide things. Main toolbar, job toolbar, actions toolbar. Don't show function keys, don't show status bar, instead show embedded terminal. Okay, so we said that we have two identical installations, one in KDE5 and the other one in KDE6. We have this Git repository git cloned, tilde/kd5/src/kdsrc-build, which is the build framework. The same for KDE5, but extra for KDE5 because we have run the command kdesrc-build keyconfig. It has downloaded some extra git cloned, some extra Git repositories, so sysadmin repo metadata, which is this guy, extra CMake modules, this guy, and keyconfig, which is this guy. So all of the Git clones happen in tilde/kd5/src. And then it has built extra CMake modules in tilde/kd5/build/extra CMake modules, this thing. And then it has, so this is the part cloning in src directory. This runs inside build directory, and this runs inside USR directory. So in I'm not sure where, but in here somewhere. ECM. This thing. Okay. And then kconfig, another Git repository from the KDE community, git clone here, build here using Ninja, and cmake and Ninja. Okay. And then installed in here, this file, libk5 config core, GUI, and QML. Oh, so this was successful. Next up is kcalc. Copy, paste. So this will require 24 KDE Git repositories to be built, which are frameworks and other libraries. And then the 25th one is the KDE Git repository kcalc, which is the KDE desktop calculator, which is this thing, this application. Okay, so let's see how we do with CPU usage. So processes, CPU descending. So it should use at most 12 CPU cores out of the 14 that I have. And proc. So I have 14 virtual CPUs, and I told kdesrc-build to use just 12 of those. And these CC1 plus executables are actually maxing out one CPU core or one vCPU thread. We can see in here how the virtual CPUs are maxed out at 100%. Okay, it's not getting near of 10 gigabytes, hopefully, of RAM used. So there's always a bit of reserve in the CPU usage because I have left 2 virtual CPUs not to be used by kdesrc-build. It's using 21 gigabytes out of my total 200 gigabytes. I did not change the computer name. Okay, so it has built 14 out of 25 KDE Git repositories. I'll pause a bit and I'll be back once kcalc finishes compiling and installing. Okay, so kcalc, the KDE desktop application, which is a calculator application, was built from the long-lived branch for which uses Qt5 from the Git repository. So this is the freshest possible source code for both the application and all of its dependencies, straight from Git. We've built it now, let's run it. So this is the application. Let's look at the other application that's already installed. So this, where it says kcalc2, this is the application installed from Fedora RPM packages, whereas this one is kcalc built from Git repository. We can look at the differences in component version. So they use the same Qt, so Qt5.15.10, which is installed from RPM packages from Fedora. But the KDE frameworks are version 5.110, which is the latest from Git, whereas the kcalc that's installed from RPM packages from Fedora has an older version of the KDE frameworks, version 5, so 5.104. I'm not sure what built against 5.15.8 is. Why there's a difference in here versus in here. Okay. They're themed identically. This, the one from Git, has bigger default width and height. We can make it look like the kcalc that's installed from RPM packages by making the window smaller. Like this. Okay, what's the next step? We've built and run kcalc. The next step is to build frameworks. This is going to take a while. It's going to build more than 90 KDE Git repositories. So let's first try this part. A new tab in console, Ctrl-Shift-T. This thing. We're going to build kconfig, but not for kdesrc-build Qt5, but for kdesrc-build Qt6. So this is the tab where we work on Qt5. Where are you? This thing. So this is in tilde/kd5. Whereas the next tab is in tilde/kd6. Okay, so it has git cloned sysadmin repo metadata, the Git repository, git cloned ECM, built and installed correctly ECM, but then kconfig, it git cloned it correctly. It failed to build kconfig. Why? Let's see why. So it says no executable found, Qt install prefix. So this tells me that there's no Qt6 installed on this machine. So let's actually install it. Let's see how this thing is done. I don't have any instructions yet. So kdesrc-build of type Qt6 requires these packages to be installed. Okay, so let's install those. So it installs most of Qt6. Okay, so 60 packages to install. The RPM packages that are not about Qt or about KDE were already installed correctly when we set up kdesrc-build for Qt5. When we set up kdesrc-build for Qt6, the only thing that's actually missing is as many RPM packages as possible from Qt6 to be installed. Okay, let's run the previous command line again. So this is the tab for kdesrc-build Qt6. Now it is building kconfig, the KDE Git repository that previously failed to run cmake configure because dependencies, both runtime dependencies and build time dependencies were missing, which are required by the kconfig project's cmake files. Okay. Next up, we should build kcalc and run it. The Qt6 version of kdesrc-build also builds some additional libraries such as Wayland, because we want a newer version of those packages, so packages that do not use Qt or packages that do not use Qt. But also some packages that use Qt are going to be built in order to make sure that we have the latest version of those, such as GPGME. Okay, so 22 Git repositories to git clone, build, and install. We'll make a short pause. Okay, so we've run this command line. Where are we? This thing. So it has built kcalc, the KDE Git repository, all of the other KDE Git repositories that are needed in order for kcalc to either build or run, such as kxml, GUI, knotifications, etc. And then we've run the Qt6 version of kcalc that's built from the latest Git branch for the Git repository kcalc. And this is how kcalc built using kdesrc-build Qt6 looks like. So 2 is built using kdesrc-build version 5 for Qt5, and without a 2 in title is for Qt6. The themes are different. You can see there's this difference in color between the title bar and the menu bar backgrounds. So the toolbar, the main toolbar background becomes gray, the same color as the window title bar in the version for Qt5. The version for Qt6, there's no such thing. The background color of the toolbar stays the same. The accelerators are shown by default in Qt6, so basically the Qt6 version does not respect the theme that we have selected in KDE Plasma. So the theme is this one. So these are the default settings for theming, appearance, fonts, font sizes, etc. They are using themes from the RPM package installed from Fedora. This build using kdesrc-build Qt5 does respect the existing Plasma integration shared object files, whereas this cannot use such a thing because you cannot use the Plasma integration SO file from Qt5 in a Qt6 process. So you cannot have shared objects with Qt5 and shared objects with Qt6 inside of the same process. So in order to use the correct theming here, we will need to build Plasma integration for Qt6. So let's see if that is possible. So the name is Plasma minus integration. So this is the tab where we have kdesrc-build for Qt6. And now we're going to build the shared object SO files that are required in, such as all of the Qt6 applications that we built with kdesrc-build can use the same theme that's configured inside of the system settings application. Okay, so the user has made up his mind, has selected the themes, and now the applications should respect what the user has selected. And we do that by building the KDE Git repository Plasma minus integration. We should do that both for kdesrc-build Qt5 and for kdesrc-build Qt6. Just as an accident, kdesrc-build Qt5 can use the existing Plasma integration SO files from the Linux operating system. There's no actual need to build it, but we should still build Plasma integration for kdesrc-build Qt5. So now it takes 50 Git repositories to clone, configure, build, and install. Okay, we'll be back after after Plasma integration finishes building, which it should not because it will fail at this step. I'll be back when we're further. Okay, so we've reached the error upstream could not be built for Qt6. Control click on the link, says shared library stem are not found. Let's try to use DNF provides for upstream. DNF provides is for missing files. What we want to do is use the equivalent of apt build dev for DNF. Build dep. Like that. Okay. So what's going to install? We need stemmer or where does it say stemmer in here? This thing, lib stemmer dev. Seems like a good idea to install these packages. Let's go yes. Okay, back to the Qt6 tab. And now we're going to tell it to resume from upstream. Okay, otherwise it will build 50 modules. Not rebuild, but build, so it will go fast. But if we go resume from, then it's going to ignore the 37 KDE Git repositories that need to be built before upstream. So it starts at upstream and then there's just 12 remaining Git repositories. Okay, we'll pause a bit more. Okay, so this time Breeze has failed, which Breeze is a theme. Says could not find KF5, so that means it could not find KDE Frameworks version 5, although I'm building KDE Frameworks version 6. So for that, I need to have these fix. So at the end of the configuration file, which is tilde/kdc/src/kdesrc-build, I need to add these 6 lines. Okay, where is it? Ctrl-Shift-D. No, let's edit it from here. Okay, so make sure we're editing the correct file. So tilde/kd6/ correct. Copy. At the very end, Ctrl-S. Okay. We resume the previous command line using kdesrc-build, but now we tell it not to resume from the module upstream, but from the module Breeze. So there's 2 modules remaining, Breeze and Plasma integration. Both Breeze and Plasma integration by default build both a Qt5 version and a Qt6 version, such that when you apply a theme, that theme will be applied both to KDE Qt5 applications and KDE Qt6 applications. We do not want such a thing. We actually, since we use 2 kdesrc-build installations, we want kdesrc-build Qt5 to only build Plasma integration and Breeze only for Qt5, and the kdesrc-build for Qt6 we want to build Plasma integration and Breeze only for Qt6. Okay, so for now the workarounds that we did were these ones. We need to install more packages when for the kdesrc-build Qt6 case. And we also needed this fix. Now Plasma integration has built correctly. The Breeze theme, Breeze icon theme, Breeze system sounds theme, etc. have been installed correctly in tilde/kdc/usr. So let's run kcalc again and see if it uses the Breeze theme and the settings that the user has configured in system settings. Okay, so this is kcalc from kdesrc-build Qt6, and the one with the title bar 2 is kdesrc-build Qt5. So they're identical. The accelerators are not shown by default in the main menu, the underscore line. The tabs are styled similarly, with the same colors and everything. The buttons look the same. So it's indeed the same theme, the Breeze theme, which is default in Fedora, and default for KDE Plasma. Fedora contains desktop layout. Which is Breeze light, but the Plasma parts are dark. Something like that. So similar to Breeze Twilight. Okay, so back to where we were. We managed to build for kdesrc-build Qt5 kcalc and run it. We managed the same thing for kdesrc-build Qt6. What remains is just to build KDE frameworks for both Qt5 and Qt6. So let's actually do that. So this is Qt5. Many of these KDE frameworks were already built when I built Plasma minus integration. Okay, I'll be back. Next up, case status notifier build cancelled. What is that? Unable to update, probably a networking issue. Case status notifier item. I'm not sure it has a branch for Qt5. Okay, so then we'll use the following incantation. Stop on failure. Let's make this false because the default is true. And resume from case status notifier item. Okay, so it tries to build the KDE frameworks, sees that there's 80 something of them. The order of kstatus notifier has only 6 other KDE Git repositories to be built after kstatus notifier item. Tries to build kstatus notifier item because we tell it to resume from that module. Fails, but there's not a problem because it will not stop on failure. Okay, we'll be back with the next error. Okay, so it finished building all of the KDE frameworks except kstatus notifier item, which again might be a new addition from Qt5, from Qt6. So this is the Qt5 installation of kdesrc-build. Now let's do the same thing for the Qt6 installation of kdesrc-build. Okay, so we did all of these and more. We also built, no, just this for Qt5. For Qt6, we've did this, we've done this, and also built Plasma integration. And now we're at the final line. I'll be back after we get more errors, or some errors. So at building using kdesrc-build for Qt6, building the KDE frameworks version 6. So kdesrc-build Qt6 has finished building all of the frameworks successfully. So this is it. I had a Fedora 38 machine. I've installed kdesrc-build both for Qt5 and Qt6. Thank you.